It's a week before Halloween 2025. I'm Dave, I'm here with Andrew, and you're listening to BV Weekly. This week, we talk last weekend's When We Were Young Fest with a special guest, the Sick New World lineup, Speed, a new Hop Alongside project, and more. But first, speaking of busy hardcore bands that start with S, Scal and Tsunami just kicked off a big tour, and we have a pair of tickets to the New York City show that happens at Knockdown Center on November 7th that we're going to give to somebody who emails bvweekly@gmail.com right now with a question, request, or feedback on this podcast. Or if you don't want the tickets but still want to just reach out to us anytime, that address again is bvweekly@gmail.com. We hope to hear from you. We'll talk more about that tour later too. Tsunami, meanwhile, as we discussed last week, we're one of the hardcore bands Andrew hoped to catch at When We Were Young in Vegas over the weekend, a festival that he spent the weekend at backstage interviewing bands on Veeps with our friends from Revolver Magazine and Alt Press. And with him from Alt Press was editor-in-chief Anna Zanes, who we have with us today. Welcome, Andrew. Welcome, Anna. You guys, the A name's going to kill me. Tsunami, Scal, Anna, Andrew. Welcome, Anna. And what's up, Andrew? Did either of you catch Tsunami?
I didn't get to catch Tsunami, unfortunately. I was really looking forward to it too, because I love them.
I know it was hard. You guys were so busy interviewing bands backstage, and not to mention all the schedule overlaps. Andrew, you didn't catch Tsunami either, did you?
Yeah, I was too busy watching Panic at the Disco.
You say that as a joke, but that's actually true.
No, it is true.
Oh, yeah.
I did walk past Tsunami when I left Panic's set early. They played two sets. They played the album, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, and then a second set of songs that aren't on that album. And then they ended, this is from Setlist FM, not from me staying, they ended with playing one of the Fever songs again with the original drummer, which I'm like, he's there and you only had him for one song. Anyway, so I left early and I walked past Tsunami. It looked like they had a good crowd. It looked like everybody was going off, but it was time for bed. So I am bummed to have missed Tsunami, but seemed sick from a distance.
Yeah, I hear that. You had long days. But wait, before bands, back up a minute. 7-Eleven sponsored the fest this year. Were there or were there not free Slurpees?
There were.
Oh, yeah.
There were. I did not make it to them, just like I did not make it to Tsunami, but I saw free Slurpees were out there somewhere.
It's kind of a nice bonus at the fest, gotta say.
I didn't have any Slurpees. No one offered me a free one, but I had a good amount of those Ghost energy drinks.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you needed it. And to you guys, first of all, you both did an amazing job because I watched I'm going to finish them, but I watched most of your interviews up on Veeps. Awesome stuff. If anyone wants to go check those out, they are still there, veeps.com. It's free to watch. And did you guys have any highlights we're going to talk to live sets in a minute, but did you have highlights of who you interviewed?
Well, actually, one of my favorite conversations I had was before the festival even started. I went to Travis Barker's run club. I did not run, but I met him at the finish line and we talked about Dag Nasty, and that's up on AP. And I don't know, it just kicked things off in a good way for me. I definitely had some great conversations, great and unexpected conversations. I feel like a lot of the bands I sat down with, having been and covered this festival for AP for, I think this is the 4th year. Like, I have a really good rapport with them. I know them. They know me. So it's kind of like picking up where we left off. You know, I talked to the Main, the Used, Story of the Year, Yellow Card. Just a lot of homies that like I feel like I've gotten to know over the last couple of years. And yeah, it was great.
What about you, Andrew?
Yeah. I mean, it was a good time. I enjoyed pretty much all my interviews. I feel like it's like picking a favorite child. But if I had to pick one, honestly, I really liked talking to Taking Back Sunday. You know, you get like 12 minutes per interview, I think, and you're at this festival and everybody is just on a lot of adrenaline and, you know, you don't really get the time to like go deep. But I feel like we got pretty deep for 12 minutes. It was like the reason that it did happen that way is they were playing both their Friday night sideshow and their 2 sets at the festival with their former secondary vocalist and guitarist, Fred Mascherino, as well as their longtime secondary vocalist guitarist, John Nolan. If you are unfamiliar with the band, their 3 most classic albums, the first one has John doing the secondary vocals, and the next 2, Louder Now and Where You Want to Be, have Fred. So this is the first time in their entire 25-year career that they had both of them on stage at the same time. And I was sort of like, so what was that experience like? And, could have easily just kind of been like, yeah, it was crazy. But Adam like gave this really like enlightened answer of like, he was just like, it like talked about it as this magical, miraculous thing. And I was like, damn, like we're getting emotional at like 3 p.m. in the Veeps tent at When We Were Young Fest right now. So yeah, I guess if I had to kind of give like I highly recommend you check this one out, if I do say so myself. The interview with Taking Back Sunday. But worth mentioning, I mean, I had a blast talking to Bad Religion. Those guys were absolutely hilarious. Straight Light Run, the Taking Back Sunday offshoot we talked to, which was great. Loved talking to the Starting Line. Loved talking with Andrew McMahon from Jack's Mannequin and Something Corporate. I loved talking to everybody. It was really fun. So yeah, do check those out if you are a fan of interviews.
I liked that Bad Religion interview, and obviously Brian Baker, also of Minor Threat. And I saw you did manage to work in Minor Threat at least once, but and
wait, I have to interrupt you. This got cut from the interview, so I had to put this on the podcast right before I was like about to intro, like, hey, I'm Andrew, this is Bad Religion. Brian was just already talking about something, and he was like, that's why Minor Threat's never going to reunite, because we're not minors anymore. We can't call ourselves that. And I'm like, wait, are we rolling? Like, did we get Brian saying why Minor Threat will never reunite? And it wasn't kept in. So
I have to say, Brian was the best dressed person I saw on stage at the festival.
What was he wearing? Because I missed Bad Religion. I'm so bummed.
He had an ascot, he had a leather jacket, and he had a pin that said "I heart pea soup," and he looked so cool. He looked so cool.
Yeah,
amazing.
I was thinking how great Bad Religion, both members of Bad Religion, including him, looked during your interview as well.
Oh, they look better than some of the young bands. Like,
yeah,
they've really done things right. I don't know what they're avoiding or doing.
For sure.
Taking. It's working.
Exactly. It's like when you hear him saying, oh yeah, it was like recalling things that happened in the 70s during that interview. You're just like, how? But
oh, and wait, I gotta mention Drain. I mean, the Drain interview was just like the most positive, like most uplifting thing. I mean, if hardcore people want to talk about PMA, nobody right now has that like Sammy from Drain. But most importantly to this podcast is that, as we talked about a few episodes ago, I had this sort of inkling. I was like, that Drain song reminds me of Waves, but I wonder if it's just like a shared influences thing. And so I asked Sammy, and he was just like, dude, I love Waves. Like, whoa, nobody ever asks me that. Like, so it was like, I don't know, it was this validating moment where I was like, damn, okay, so maybe like some King of the Beach has seeped into Drain. So had to bring that up since we kind of wondered it on this show.
It was a really fun interview to watch for sure. And I loved that.
I have to say, like, that, especially what you said about Adam and Taking Back Sunday and Drain, like, those guys, they've always been like that. And I appreciate that so much. Every interview I've had with Adam, he gets emotional and he gets deep and he says things about magic for sure. And Sammy is also just like, yeah, he really embodies that. It's not just like an act.
Absolutely. I mean, when he was talking to all of us, just like before and after the interview, like, he was the same person as he is on stage, on camera. Like, yeah.
That's awesome. And that wasn't the only time Minor Threat came up, because actually, like you said, Travis said something about Dag Nasty to you, but I'm pretty sure I also heard him shout out Minor Threat. And
oh yeah, he loves Minor Threat. And then later he was wearing a Minor Threat shirt on stage, and I had to say, I know Brian was very well dressed. Travis has the best t-shirt collection of anybody. Every single time I've seen him or met him or done anything with him, he has the coolest archive shirts. It's unreal.
And so he played twice each day?
Well, the first day he played at after doing a 5K,
Oh, yeah.
he did a drum off and it was wild. And then he did Blink, and he also got on stage with Yellow Card and played their full set, which was wild. And it was so cool because he produced their new album and he played drums on it. They don't really have a drummer right now. And it really took it to the next level. And it just, a Travis Barker produced album sounds like a Travis Barker produced album. There's a lot of drum fills. And so to hear that live was really awesome.
Yeah, I didn't get to see Yellow Card, but I did watch their set on the little TV that plays sets backstage. And it's just like, I think Travis elevates any musician he plays with. And it felt like noticeably Yellow Card featuring Travis Barker in a way that not all drummers, no offense, other drummers, get to sort of say.
Yeah. I also just obviously AP worked on this project with Travis and Yellow Card, and they were on our cover this summer. But I really enjoyed my conversation with Yellow Card because I thought that they had a lot of interesting stuff to say. I mean, they've had like a crazy arc. They broke up, they were the Ocean Avenue band, and that's how I knew of them, and, the violin Ocean Avenue, Florida band. And I think that holds a lot of space in millennial hearts. But this new album, I think that it is kind of nailing pop punk on the head in like a way that I haven't heard from a band in a minute. And what they said in the conversation that was, I always want to talk to these bands about nostalgia because AP, like our core bands, Paramore, Green Day, Blink, things like that. Like there's so much baked in that's about nostalgia. And I know that bands feel mixed about that. Some bands really reject it. They don't want to play their old stuff. They only want to play their new stuff. They want to keep making things different. And some are stuck there and some have found a balance. And Yellow Card, like they got back together because they wanted to do an anniversary tour, which is all about a nostalgia play. And from there, what kind of evolved organically was like, they're doing better than ever. Their album is charting. They've never experienced that since Ocean Avenue. And it's not just about nostalgia anymore. It may have come up because of that. And I think that's an evolution that a lot of these bands like aren't able to achieve.
Yeah, totally. I loved your interview with Yellow Card. I also loved Ryan's Smashing Pumpkins shirt that he was wearing during it. And I think on stage as well. But because didn't you interview them like as soon as they got off stage or something? It was like a post-game interview.
Yeah, he was sweaty.
Right. Yeah. No, and I loved that. And to piggyback on the last point you made, that was my favorite part of talking to the Starting Line because yeah, they have just released their first album in 18 years. And it's like I won't name names, but some of these bands have new albums that seem like you kind of know that you go to the show and you sort of hope they don't play from them. Like,
Yeah.
and with the Starting Line, and it sounds like what you're saying with Yellow Card, it's just like, it's really as relevant now as they were back then. And like, for me, like, I know I'm more excited I wish I didn't see the Starting Line, but very bummed about that. But if I did, I was more excited to see them play the new songs. And I can like it. Yeah. The nostalgia thing is, blessing and a curse.
So what were some of the other highlights, live set highlights, bands you actually did get to see?
For me, seeing Avril is always amazing. I've seen her a couple of times in the last few years. Obviously, I saw her a bunch when I was younger, but I just saw her more recently at MSG on her Greatest Hits tour, which I just feel like every time I see her, I'm not even somebody who grew up listening to that much pop punk, which I shouldn't say as the editor of Alt Press, but like I listen to a lot of punk music and hardcore, but like you go to an Avril show and you realize you know every single song, like whether you want to admit it or not. And they're all so good and so hooky. And I don't know. I mean, I just think she like really delivers. And, I got to watch it from side stage and that was really awesome. I mean, I'm a big fan of hers. And I I can appreciate what she's done with the nostalgia element too. You know, she's really leaning into it, and I think that it works for her.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought it was cool. Sorry,
ahead.
Andrew. I was thinking your Destroy Boys interview, you asked them who they were excited to see. And it was Violet and David from Destroy Boys, who both, I think Violet said Avril Lavigne is playing. And David was like, yeah, that's huge. And Violet was like, she's a trailblazer, effing goat for women in alternative music. And yeah, even just between seeing the footage on I've never been an Avril fan, I don't know, just didn't happen. But I'm not a hater either. But just between like seeing the footage on your Instagram, Anna, and hearing Destroy Boys talk about them, and then reading, actually, we posted a recap, Andrew, up on Brooklyn Vegan with your favorite sets, and you put Avril in there as well. And like Anna said, so many songs. I think I remember you were like, of course she played this song and this song and this song and this song and this song. It felt like it kept going on. So yeah, Andrew, I guess also a highlight for you, Avril.
Yeah, and this was my first time seeing her. So different experience than you, Anna, because you said you've seen her a bunch. But I had that exact feeling you had of like, wait, I know way more songs than I realized. Like, and it's like I would go look up like, wait, what album is that song on? And I'm like, oh, that song, like I don't even think I knew anything from that album. You know, like she's one of those like because like we owned a copy of Let Go in our house. It was my younger brother's. I think at the time I was a little bit like, oh, I'm like already too punk to like buy that CD, but like obviously I know all the words to Complicated and Skater Boy. But so like I knew that one, and then I just like some of the later stuff I was in and out over the years, and so I was kind of like, oh, like I kind of know like she has these smash hits from every era of her career that I almost forgot about some of them. And yeah, to your point about she does the nostalgia so well, like I'm so happy that she's leaning into pop punk, because there were the albums where she tried very hard to distance and just be like a regular pop star. And I just feels like the community, the punk community, like around her, like this is where I feel like she is like a legend, you know, like in the pop world, she, with all due respect, could look a little bit like a has-been, but like when we were young, she could have headlined. I was almost like she played too early. Like I thought that her sing-alongs were maybe louder than Blink-182 and Panic at the Disco sing-alongs. And I was like, yes, this is where she should be. This is the music she should be making. The newest record, which at this point is 3 years old, that Travis Barker did, is, I think, like far and away her best thing in a long time. I love it as much as I love the classics, and it is very pop punk. And she brought Derek from Sum 41 on stage. They did In Too Deep. That was amazing. Glad to see they're on good terms. And then I wasn't there at night one, but Simple Plan came out, and I know they just toured together. So it just feels right. It just feels like Avril should be like pop punk legend, and that's where she belongs. And I hope that we get another record. Again, it's been 3 years. Avril, you're due. I don't know, maybe like who would be, if she doesn't do it with Travis, who would be like another good producer to like give Avril a good sort of like current day pop punk, you know?
I don't know. I think that's a tough question. I think what he is really good at is like kickstarting people again into that world and like kind of refreshing what that sounds like. And then I see sometimes people, then they move into other spaces and they move on to other producers after that. But I'd like to see what she would do with him again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would too.
Know?
Of course.
She was just on the Yellow Card album he made too. Yeah, she's just such an icon. And like, as much as like I also grew up being like, I'm too punk for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like listening to like radio pop punk. She's like undeniably such a style icon for alternative girls. Like it's just, you know, with the ties and the cargo pants. And I mean, she's such a trailblazer. Like there's like no denying that.
And so, Andrew, I think you've now seen Blink-182 10 times this year.
3 times this year.
3 times this year. How many times? And a lot since they reunited.
Yeah,
or is
since
reunite
they got
the right
back
word?
with Tom.
Yeah. Right.
This was the 4th and 5th time was this weekend. So 5 times since Tom rejoined. But you know, like I'm a casual fan. But yeah, I mean, I very much was like, I'm going to make a point to watch their entire set both nights. I didn't do that for anybody else except Weezer. No disrespect, but it was because they were on before Blink. I would have. I mean, I love Weezer, but I would have been okay with one. Love You Rivers. It's not, but Blink-182, I was like, hey, like, this is now a stadium band in New York. I mean, they did Citi Field last time. I don't know if they're going to take some time off. Mark said on stage that on night 2 that it was the last night of the tour that he considered to have began at their surprise Coachella appearance 2.5 years ago. So I don't know if that means that they're making another record or taking some time. So yeah, I was like, I'm going to definitely see this both nights. Same exact set list both nights, same set list that it has been all tour, including the last time I saw them, which was at See Here Now in New Jersey. But most
kind of weird.
What'd you say?
That's kind of weird. Same set list.
I mean,
both
not
nights.
really, because a lot of bands just kind of learn a set list for a tour, and then they have the lighting and the.
I also feel like given this set list, it actually makes some sense because I don't think it's not all like the top 10 hits. There are some deeper cuts. So I feel like getting them more in the mix and like keeping them in a mix, there's part of it that makes sense. I mean, they're fans. I feel like their bands are specific and they can hear things over and over and over and over. As another person who's seen them probably 6 times since they reunited.
That makes sense. I guess there's not really an expectation that you're going to both nights of this festival.
No, because they sell it's like 2 separate, like it's almost like when Coachella has 2 weekends. It's like 2 days that are identical, and yeah, but yeah, I mean, they're not the Grateful Dead. They're not gonna, but to Anna's point, they've been playing deep cuts, some songs from Take Off Your Pants and Jacket that weren't played in 20 plus years. They covered Hope by the Descendants, which is incredible. It was very funny to notice that very few people knew what song they were playing at that moment. And on night 2, Mark dedicated that to Derek Whibley, who I guess was watching from side stage, is what it seemed. But where was I going with all this? Yes, the set list was exactly the same, but very impressively, they did not repeat stage banter. I think that is, and for a band who's like stage banter is half their show. I've seen Paul McCartney a few times tell the exact same stories word for word on stage. I saw Metallica headline both nights of their own festival, Orion Fest, where you would expect people to be there both nights, and James Hetfield word for word repeated stage banter 2 nights in a row, and I was like, you have to be kidding me. Like, we're supposed to at least make us think it's not rehearsed. But so I've seen Blink 3 times on this tour and not heard a joke repeated, maybe like one, but like for the most part, all fresh jokes.
Yeah, I mean, even comedians do the same material night after night.
Exactly. Yes. If you see a comedian twice on one tour, you're like, oh, it's literally the same thing.
They're so good at it too. It just like, it comes so naturally. And I'm thinking back to the first time I saw them when they reunited on this leg, and it had been a minute since I'd seen them, obviously. And I was like, not sure if I was supposed to laugh. And like, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, because it's definitely feels like you're like watching one of those like early aughts, like high school movies.
Like American Pie 2 or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. And, it's just like you have to lean in with them. And I feel like I'm just like dying laughing seeing them now at their banter. And it's just part of it.
I agree. The first time I went, which was when they had Turnstile opening at Barclays Center in New York, I was like, oh, you guys are like 50 and you're still telling dick jokes. Like I was like, I don't know. And then, yeah, it's like, I also think maybe it was like getting used to it and learning to expect it, or maybe it was that they got a little better over time after, but it feels
that might have been it too.
Yeah. Cause it's like, they're so immature and juvenile, but it's like they've got it down to a T where it's so obviously immature that it's like kind of not offensive. You know what I mean? Like it feels like they seem to have pulled off the ability to tell like toilet humor and dick jokes without seeming problematic. Someone else may disagree with that, but it seems to me like it could have been a lot worse, and they seem to have it down to it's like so silly that you can't get mad almost.
They're in character. So, I mean, I think that's part of it too.
Any other big highlights? I guess like live sets you saw?
Well, for me, I think Destroy Boys, I always love seeing, but I have to say, like, they sounded tighter and they sounded better than I've ever heard them. And that's hard to pull off at a festival, but they sounded so good. Their crowd was, I mean, it's funny because my other favorite set probably would be Bad Religion. And I was like the age range from those two sets was very different. There was all these kids at Destroy Boys, which was so cool, seeing all these like little kids with their like dyed hair, knowing all the words. I just think they're such good performers. I love Alexia. And it was just like, it made me kind of emotional seeing them because I felt like, you know, for me, like that's what the future of this like alternative space looks like.
You touched a little on that in your interview with them too, Andrew, about what it feels like to be, despite being a band for 10 years, the younger band on this festival.
Oh, I just love that they're like, they love Blink and they love Avril and they're also super outspoken and doing something that's very of their era, you know, like it is very future thinking and outspoken. And I think it all like makes so much sense. And so I really do like strongly believe that they are like the future of all of this. And I felt that. And yeah, conversely, Bad Religion was just awesome to see because that's like the legends.
That's so cool. I think I learned via one of our Brooklyn Vegan Instagram, or maybe it was AP Instagram, that speaking of younger artists, Weezer brought out Blonde Shell for a song. That's pretty cool.
That was a highlight for sure. Not just brought out Blonde Shell, but brought out Blonde Shell to do the lead vocals on I Just Threw Out the Love of My Dreams, which I thought when it happened was such a deep cut and I couldn't believe I was hearing it. And then I saw on Twitter, thanks to Keegan Bradford, that song has an insane amount of streams on Spotify. And maybe it's like a TikTok thing. I have no idea, but it was a deep cut for 20 years. So I couldn't believe it was happening. And that was like a hugely exciting moment for sure.
On night 2, they brought Paris out for that song too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Yeah, again, very jealous you saw Bad Religion. I think they're one of the best live bands going. I wish I could have seen them. Other highlights for me, Drain for sure. I mean, as discussed in the interview with Sammy, like I kind of opened the interview with this. I was like, look, like this festival celebrates a certain genre and a certain era, and like Drain is neither of those things. They're a current hardcore band. They're not a 2000s emo band. And then as Sammy pointed out, which I hadn't even really connected, he was like, not only are we not those things, but we were added to this fest 5 days ago. And I was like, oh, right. Yeah, like it's true. So it's like if nobody bought tickets with them in mind, who knows who's heard of them. Unbelievably massive crowd. Sammy said on stage there were 3 mosh pits going at once that he could see. They played all the new singles from Is Your Friend, which comes out in November, and those were the highlights of the set. Like it really felt like the best Drain songs right now are the songs they released this year. Like full stop, easy, not even a hard thing to say. And that was so cool to see. Knocked Loose were incredible, obviously, so epic. They were the only heavy band on the main stages, and they definitely like, you know, they did the Knocked Loose thing, and they made the people who were waiting around to see All Time Low get like, you know, into walls of death and stuff. And what else? I mean, it was fun seeing Panic at the Disco, Weezer, caught a little Movie Life, which was sick. Stray Light Run, which was amazing to see because they hadn't played in 5 years. Oh, actually, wait, I have to mention the most intense set of the weekend was Alexis on Fire. They were like,
I would agree with that.
Right? They opened with Accidents, and I just instantly, I felt like I was getting just not like literally punched in the gut. Like I know that's like a cliche, but literally it felt like I could feel in my bones, like they were just like just, you know, forcefully, you know, emitting something towards the crowd that was just making us all like take a step back.
They really like occupy the stage in a way that's different than any of the other bands I saw. I mean, and I think maybe it's because of their actual music, because of who they are, like knowing them, they're intense guys. But it really like, I mean, it felt like like a capital R, like rock show in a different way than anything else may have.
That's who I'm the most jealous to have missed. Alexis on Fire was my number one on that lineup. If I was there, that was my can't miss set. And I forget, Andrew, did you see them both days? Or Anna,
No,
did you
just
see
on
them
day
both?
one.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a little bit of both days.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And you caught them earlier this year too, didn't you, Anna?
Yeah, I saw them headline at 2000 Trees.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
so,
they're just so good. And it also
I'm so jealous.
thinking about these bands that may not quote unquote make sense, like Drain,
Right.
like Blink are fans of Drain. Like some of these are bands within this universe. And, like Alexis on Fire, like Wade McNeil does emo DJ nights, like there's so much overlap. And I think that I'd like to think that they're all fans of each other in some context, like I asked a lot of the more OG bands, like who they were excited to see, and they all said Drain or Knock Loose.
I loved hearing that. Yeah, that was a theme. Actually, I heard Alexis on Fire get named a few times too across the interviews. Knocked Loose and Alexis on Fire, that stood out to me as, I mean, of course I'm biased because I love both those bands, but it stood out how many people kept name checking them and like how many pop punk bands were naming Knocked Loose. It's like,
I feel
awesome.
like people are tapped in.
Yeah.
And it was just like Andrew said, I think like it was nice to see some of these audience members who may not have been there for those bands like get stoked. I was watching Knock Loose and there was a girl in front of me who had like a tiny Panic at the Disco top hat. And I was just like, oh man. And then she got so into it.
Oh, awesome.
I feel like that is just really the best part about these festivals, because it's like, the premise of When We Were Young, again, is to sort of celebrate the pop punk and emo of 1999 to 2005. And I know a lot of people who grew up on that stuff, like myself, who aren't so tapped into new music. And they love the idea of going to, spend a few $100s to see all the songs they remember from 20 to 25 years ago. But then I hear comments like, oh, I wish people would still make music like this. I think we talked on this show, Dave, there was that tweet that went viral like a month ago where somebody was like, why don't people make music like Sum 41 anymore? And then everybody being like, they do. Like, and I think that it's so great. I think When We Were Young, I would like to see even more younger artists and other genres that are adjacent to those genres represented in future When We Were Young lineups. But I think it's so important that you're there because you love this nostalgia and you're seeing Destroy Boys, you're seeing Arm's Length, you're seeing Drain and Knocked Loose, and you're walking away with a new appreciation and understanding of the scene today and the bands that are carrying it forward.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it for the When We Were Young segment. Anna, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
We hope to have you back in the future as well.
Anytime.
And everybody should go check out. We have When We Were Young articles and recaps on Brooklyn Vegan and Alternative Press. We've got all the videos we've been talking about, the interviews on veeps.com, as well as clips all over our social media. So go check all that out. And
they are free to watch on Veeps.
Yes. Free on Veeps. Check it out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Anna.
So, Dave, another thing that I could not help but notice all weekend at When We Were Young was all the advertisements throughout the festival for Sick New World, which they had announced is happening again in Vegas and also for the first time in Fort Worth, Texas, months later than the Vegas edition. And since I got home, they announced the lineup.
Yeah, just going back a few years, When We Were Young happened first, right?
Yes, When We Were Young debuted in 2022, unless you count the 2017 version, which was kind of totally different. And then Sick New World debuted also in Vegas in 2023.
Right, which in real time, it was kind of like, oh my God, this When We Were Young Fest is hilarious. They've just, because it was like every pop punk band from that era on this one fest that was taking place just in one day. So it was kind of the early days of what's now just normal, I guess, of these
Nostalgia
fests,
genre
nostalgia
fests,
genre
yeah.
of fests that put a zillion bands all in one day. And then When We Were Young has since gone to 2 days, but not one festival, not 2 days with different bands.
Right. The
2
first
days,
year it was 3 days. Do you
3
remember?
days of the same fest each
Yeah,
day.
it was Saturday, Sunday, and then the following Saturday. But day
Oh, whoa.
one got winded out.
Oh, right. So it never actually happened.
Never
truly.
happened. Yeah, but yes, and then Sick New World did the same thing in the same city, but with new metal
By the
But-
same people.
by the same people. I mean, and it's like it is new metal is like the overall elevator pitch, but it's a lot more than new metal. Also, it's a lot of adjacent stuff like goth and industrial and grunge and yeah. I mean, but
Definitely.
theoretically, When We Were Young is the emo festival, and Sick New World is the new metal festival. All giving nostalgia for the early 2000s, all in Las Vegas, all one day, all with lots and lots of bands in one day and short sets.
Yeah. So, okay. So here we are. Sick New World was like kind of teasing at When We Were Young this year. And then like the day later, they announced not just the lineup of the Las Vegas version that is returning after not happening in 2025, but also a new day. It's like 6 months apart in Texas.
Yeah, it's April 25th in Vegas, October 24th in Fort Worth, Texas. And System of a Down headline both, which it's really kind of interesting because System of a Down headlined the first 2 years of Sick New World, and then they were not on the bill for the 2025 edition that got canceled. So they will have officially headlined every edition of Sick New World, assuming this one doesn't get canceled. And then Vegas is co-headlined by Korn, who just opened for System of a Down in New York. And Texas is co-headlined by Deftones, who just opened for System of a Down in Toronto.
Then third down on Nevada is Bring Me the Horizon. And third down on Texas is Slayer, which is billed as 40 Years of Rain and Blood. I don't know if they've said if they're actually going to play the album in full. Usually that means that, but also sometimes it just totally doesn't mean that. So it's hard to say unless they did say and I missed it. But I also don't think Slayer, who like broke up and then came back very fast, pulled an LCD sound system. They, and it's not all the original members, whatever, but Slayer are still pretty badass. I don't know if they've ever done Rain and Blood show in full. I'm sure that they play a lot of it anyway, but yeah, so we'll see. But of course, for this podcast, it goes without saying, when you've got System of a Down, Deftones, and Slayer as your top three, that one wins.
Yeah, if I go to one, I'm going to Texas.
Yes, same.
I mean, it's interesting because the first year of Sick New World had System and Deftones as and Korn actually. The thing with these nostalgia festivals that are focused on one genre from one 5-year period is you kind of expect to see a lot of repeat names. And that's just kind of the point. But I think what I wanted to say though was in the 3 years since that first edition, I mean, System of a Down and Deftones feels like a more epic double bill than it felt in 2023.
Definitely. Well, at least to us, it does.
At least to us. But I mean, Deftones just completed an arena tour, which was not what they did the last time they toured. And the reality is just, Korn is not doing arena tours.
Right.
And then Slayer being so rare and obviously still when they can play gigantic venues, not Bring Me the Horizon's a big band too, but yeah, the System of a Down Deftones co-bill with a super rare Slayer set. Yeah, I mean, if it's a competition, gotta go Texas. But they're both great.
Yeah, and looking down the lineup, there is one band this year who played When We Were Young that are also on Sick New World, and we just got
two bands.
Oh, right, 2 bands, and they are both, not surprisingly, the ones who are on the heavier side of When We Were Young, and that's Knocked Loose and Tsunami, who are not
AFI or Under Oath.
AFI
who
are
definitely could play When We Were Young if they haven't already. I'm not sure.
Right. And along with Tsunami and Knocked Loose, you've got Speed on both dates, and Scal, who were also so a lot of these bands were supposed to play in 2025 when it was going to be headlined, which is this year. It's trying to keep this straight. It happened in 2024. It got announced for 2025 with like Metallica and Linkin Park headlining. It then got canceled for, I don't know, unknown reasons, ticket sales, whatever it was. Didn't happen this year. Now it's announced again, 2026.
I'm telling you, the problem was it didn't have System of a Down.
That is, yeah, for sure. And so one interesting thing, there's other hardcore bands. Actually, Pain of Truth is on in 2026. Also, Haywire is on the Texas date in 2026. Are they on both?
That's
No.
the big story to me.
Yeah.
Haywire is on
Just Texas.
Just Texas. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think back to when you went to. Wait, was it Hellfest where you saw Haywire? That we talked about on the podcast. I mean.
Oh yeah, well, I had seen them before, but yes,
Okay, so I think back to Hellfest where we talked about Haywire, and at that time, there was this feeling of like, at least between so I'm speaking for myself, but I think you'd agree, of like, okay, like, if maybe this super like extreme hardcore festival is not your vibe, I think the one band that you might actually vibe with would be Haywire. And in the few weeks or maybe a couple months since then, now that feels like an understatement. Like, it's crazy this Haywire have just like, they're doing the traditional wisdom of if you just keep playing shows, people will notice, because they're on like an unhealthily long tour where they're playing all 50 states and just like keep adding more dates to it, I think. And
they're really good at creating viral social media moments along the way.
But it doesn't seem contrived. When I see these videos of them, covering Title Fight in Wilkes-Barre, someone lighting off fireworks on like a huge outdoor show they're playing, like,
oh, it's not just a huge outdoor show, it's like an outlaw show basically. And then it was like in Brooklyn, like warehouse outdoor crazy style, last minute announced, and then they kept that going. They then played like with wrestlers in an art gallery that next day or later that night. And then they announced a last minute Williamsburg Bridge outdoor crazy show like that next day as well. All these moments were just like chaos, brings you back to like the South by Southwest Bridge shows.
Absolutely made me think of the South by Southwest
illegal
Bridge
warehouse
shows.
parties, whatever it was.
Yes. Or like the parking lot shows at Fest, which were also like generator shows that were not legal. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like a really, really genuine, crazy, just like punk rock moment. And
but they have the songs to back it up.
And they have the songs to back it up. Yeah, I mean, they're catchy. They're a hardcore band, I guess. They're in the hardcore scene for sure, but like there's also like a really big like street punk, a little bit oi element, which like means catchy songs. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It just feels like, again, they're here because they're such a hardworking band. Like it doesn't feel like they are being pushed by some industry thing to be here. The moments on social media don't feel contrived. Like I said, no, it just feels like this awesome, total phenomena, total, just genuine, authentic phenomena. And that is the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what stands out to me is they are, I think, the only band on the entire 2026 lineup of Sick New World, maybe not counting a few on the very bottom line that I haven't heard of, but like they're not even on the bottom line. They're the only band on these lineups that wouldn't have been on the 2025 lineup.
Right.
Every other band, if they were just like the canceled fest, here's the same exact lineup of this year, I'd have been like, oh yeah, it is. But
right, like Tsunami, Speed, and Scal have kind of already been like the hardcore bands that are like festival regulars, like like Coachella, Lollapalooza, like it's, like you expect to see those names on this bill. You know that Sick New World is always going to give you a little bit of the hardcore scene. You expect those names, and that's not negative or anything. Just to be clear,
I'm guessing Coachella's like, oh damn it, we should have booked Haywire in 2026.
I mean, maybe next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. It feels right. It feels like Haywire like worked themselves to the point of this fest noticed us, and they need, even Pain of Truth like have been in that place before where like you see them down low on these like heavy metal festivals.
Right. They've already had this for a minute.
Yeah.
And
but yeah, Haywire, it just feels like, and also the thing too is Haywire's not metal at all. Like Tsunami, Speed, Pain of Truth, and Knocked Loose, not Scowl, but like those bands are all like kind of metal bands. Like, I mean, they're hardcore bands, but there's like, you know, Knocked Loose is almost more of a metal band, but like, you know, there's metal elements clearly. Haywire is like not even a metal adjacent band. They're just a sick punk band. And I mean, they could play When We Were Young next year too and make just as much sense and probably have a crazy reaction.
For sure. I mean, Scowl, I just saw Scowl not long ago. Just reminds me they're very much a hardcore band live, but they're also an alt rock band, and there's definitely an alt rock element on Sick New World as well. So they fit in. I mean, Super Heaven is on their Failure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of bands actually a little bit more like Scowl, but I'm sure they're on here. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's and so for Haywire, one last thing. This is not even the first kind of confirmation that is happening for them. Just a few weeks ago, Haywire were announced as the opener on the Dropkick Murphys tour, which, of course, perfect fit. But it's still, for a band coming out of the hardcore scene, be it like what other band out of the hardcore scene in the past year, or even at all, in recent times, would be a match for a Dropkick Murphys tour. So yeah, it felt like a thing.
Absolutely. No, 100%. I mean, even when I interviewed Alexis on Fire at When We Were Young, Wade was shouting out the Oi revival. And like, I asked if he considers Haywire part of that. And he was like, maybe like kind of adjacent to it. But then he like went on to just praise this crazy tour they've been on. And it's just like, whoa, like everybody's taking notice of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I mean, that's, hey, young bands, if you're listening, that's still the advice. Play every day of the year until someone notices you. Don't do a TikTok moment.
Right. A few other bands to take note of on these Sick New World lineups. Deaf Heaven's on there, like a Power Trip and Mastodon. And did you say Terror already? Down.
No.
Again, a lot of these bands, they've been appearing on these festivals. Down, supposedly working on a new album, I think, right? AFI is pretty high up on here.
Glassjaw,
yes. They've got Melvins, they've got Poison the Well. Mm-hmm. So check out those lineups.
Did we say Acid Bath is on there again?
Oh yeah,
they were supposed to play the canceled one. Obviously their reunion's been crazy, so
yeah. And I think when they announced them for last year, it was still like, oh my God, Acid Bath is back. Now it's just kind of like, oh yeah, they're still fulfilling that. They're there since they didn't get to play this year.
Outside of the headliners, I don't know that we've named a single new metal band.
Name some.
Cold Chamber, Snot.
There you go.
I guess Orgy probably counts. Alien Ant Farm. So there is still all that. Evanescence are on Vegas, but not Texas, right? No, they're on both. Yeah, at POD. So, it is also still a lot of new metal. Oh, Kitty, that's going to be awesome.
Evanescence still with that Nathan Fielder bump.
Yes. No, I mean, perfect timing to be Evanescence. Yeah, it's still the New Metal Revival Festival, the New Metal Nostalgia Festival. But it's cool how much the bookers are like kind of deciding is adjacent to that. Because it's like I said about When We Were Young, to me, that's the exciting part. If you're going for the new metal stuff and you walk away a fan of Knocked Loose and Haywire, I mean, Super Heaven, Deaf Heaven, like that's, I think it's possible and will happen, especially Knocked Loose. They will win over people for sure.
All right. So once again, I am going to segue with Tsunami. running theme through this episode. So St. Vitus, the Brooklyn punk and metal venue that we miss very, very much, thankfully still does exist in that the St. Vitus team is presenting great shows in New York City all the time, including a handful of hardcore shows coming up very soon that we're excited about. As we mentioned earlier, we're giving away tickets to Tsunami and Scal at Knockdown Center in New York City. It's a St. Vitus presented show that's part of a tour with recent Flat Spot signing Whispers, when it also has One Step Closer opening a few November dates, including that New York City show. And so, reminder, we're going to give somebody who emails bvweekly@gmail.com right now with a question for us. Ask us a question about this that you want us to answer on the podcast. We're going to give somebody we have this pair of tickets. We're going to give it to somebody who emails bvweekly@gmail.com. Send us a question or request or feedback on this podcast. Meanwhile, this Saturday night, St. Vitus is bringing another insane hardcore lineup. Speed, End It, and MS Paint to a roller rink called Xanadu. It's in Brooklyn this Saturday night. It's a no barrier show. It sounds completely amazing. I'm sure we mentioned it when it was first announced because, it's just only those three bands, all three amazing bands we love, in a roller rink with no barrier. And so earlier that same day, within walking distance, and its current tour mates, Cosmic Joke and Closed Casket signed Click, play a free St. Vitus matinee show at TVI in Ridgewood. So it's going to be a really great day for hardcore in Bushwick and Ridgewood here in New York City. Also crazy amazing, that Ended tour with all the bands, and including Hold My Own, play this country club called Maggie's Bar and Restaurant in Lakewood, New Jersey. That's tonight, I guess, Friday night. I don't know if you've noticed this, but this random country club in Lakewood, New Jersey, down the shore, is suddenly hosting all these like great hardcore shows. Fiddlehead actually just announced new dates this week around their Run for Covers Boston Fest, Something in the Way, including Long Island. And this Jersey spot, Drug Church and Military Gun, also have upcoming shows there. It's pretty awesome, called Maggie's. Anyway,
do you prefer to see your hardcore shows at roller rinks or country clubs?
Yeah, exactly. That honestly is the question. Maggie, this Lakewood, New Jersey is kind of far for us, so unfortunately will not be there tonight, but I am hoping to make the roller rink this.
Have you been to Xanadu yet?
I have not. I like roller skating, but I have not been there.
I've been a few times, including when the Honky Tonkin' and Queens DJs did a country night. It's really cool. I haven't seen live music performed, only DJs, but
right. And with DJs, you're roller skating, right?
Yes, you're right. Sorry, yes. To be clear, it was a country themed roller night, and I also went there was like more of like I think it was like a yacht rock night, which is probably what they actually played when roller rinks were really popular, and disco and stuff. But I'm really curious to hear and or see, depending on if I make it. I'd love to be there. Just don't know yet. What a no barrier hardcore show on a roller rink with no one roller skating. Hopefully, luckily, let's try to be safe. Yeah, I'm curious to hear and or see.
Yeah, and so that show, it's part of the Ended tour. I don't know how they amazingly put that together, but it's part of the Ended tour, and then it's also the release show for Speed's new EP, which is out today. So why don't we talk about that?
Yeah. You know what else I'll say is the hardcore band tee that you saw the most at when we were young, I think, was Speed.
Oh yeah. Even in some of the interviews.
Yeah. Right. But the singer of Boys Like Girls was wearing it.
Oh wait.
And,
you know what? We saw a lot of Speed shirts at Best Friends Forever as well.
It is the shirt right now.
Yeah.
That's I mean, it's just, I kept trying to think of like an analogy to make, but I'm like,
Nirvana.
But it's
no.
But I was thinking Nirvana, Misfits, but that all happened after those bands broke up.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Speeder on the rise, so it's like interesting. But yeah, I mean, the singer of Boys Like Girls wore a Speed shirt and was like proudly a poser about it, and was like, I've never heard a song by this band. I would not pass the Do You Know the 3 songs test. But it was their drummer who gave him the shirt. We learned this in the interview on Veeps, and the drummer said he saw the show with Turnstile and was just blown away by Speed. And I mean, I'm not surprised to hear that, because that's like Speed are just that band where like they were on Coachella, they were on this Turnstile tour. You see them and you get blown away. Like I saw a lot of Speed shirts the last time I saw Blink-182, I think too. So Speed are hardcore's latest it band.
I thought Haywire were that.
Well, one of, but I haven't seen Haywire shirts in the wild like Speed. So I think Speed are like the like Haywire are like the dirty, like getting their dirt underneath their nails, like grinding it out, working hard. Not the Speed aren't working hard. I want to make sure because I'm just kind of riffing right now. But Speed are like, on the cover of the magazine, so to speak. Like they just seem like the it band. And the thing is, like you said about Haywire, they back it up. They deserve it. Like all of the hype for Speed, all of the relative fame. I say relative because we're still talking about a band that plays for a few hundred people a night. We're not talking about like Sabrina Carpenter. It's all deserved, and they only deserve to keep getting bigger. I will not be surprised if they headline the same venues.
If Sabrina Carpenter wears a Speed shirt?
No, I wouldn't be surprised if Billie Eilish did.
Yeah.
But no, I won't be surprised if they headline the same venues they've opened for Turnstile and Knocked Loose last year at. They're on that path. And this EP is the best songs they've written yet, I think. It's only 3 songs. And sometimes 3-song EPs might feel a little too small to focus on as like a key release of the week. But not this one, because it's so pivotal. It's like, first of all, to back up for a second, their debut record, Only One Mode, debut full length, was one of our favorite albums of 2024, any genre. And it was like Speed were this promising hardcore band with some promising EPs. The full length delivered on a level that I think surprised everybody, including the members of Speed, based on like stuff they've said when I've interviewed them in the past. And then now they have a new album in the works, is confirmed. I don't know when we're going to get it. Maybe next year. Don't quote me. But first we get these 3 songs, which were inspired by, unfortunately, like sadly, the loss of 3 close friends to members of the band. And so it finds this like tough guy hardcore band singing about loss and grief. And it's just like really, really powerful. And on top of the lyrics being so goosebump inducing, the music is just like the most interesting Speed music yet. Like it is still super aggressive, tough guy hardcore, but it's like, it's not genre defying. It's like, if you can visualize, if a genre had walls, then Speed are like jabbing the walls with their elbows. Like they're like not quite breaking through. And I don't think because I don't think they want to, but they're like, let's just see if we can poke. Let's see if we can go like a little bit out, but mainly stay rooted in here. And it's such interesting music. It's the perfect mix of like, if you want your hardcore to just be like, violent and adrenaline rush inducing, then it's that. But if you're like not that kind of person and you're a little bit more like, you kind of like that Turnstile, for example, have these other elements, like it's like, I think you see that in Speed too. So I think it's not surprising that all these people in these non-hardcore environments are rocking these Speed t-shirts, because I think they just speak to a lot of audiences, and that's cool. I'm very happy to see everything that's happening for this band. It's all so deserved.
Totally. And so what other albums out this week?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shorter week album release wise, at least as far as I'm concerned, but it's a good week for EPs, because outside of the Speed EP, we get the debut EP by Parts Work, which is a new band fronted by Francis Quinlan from Hopalong. And it's like, I don't know about you, but like, I think it's been way too long since we've heard from Hopalong. And even since we've heard some from Francis, their debut solo record under their own name came out in early January 2020, right before COVID. COVID happened. They never really brought their solo career back after that. So there was like, they did a song for the I Saw the TV Glow soundtrack, but like mainly have not really been around. Hopalong have played like a couple shows. But now this is like, feels like the most substantial thing from Francis in like over almost 6 years. And it's so good. It's a collaboration with Kyle Pulley, who has worked on like every Hopalong record and was in the band Thin Lips. And There's other familiar faces involved. Dominic, Angelella, I believe you pronounce his last name that way, is an early member of Hop Along. He's on the record. Chrissy from Thin Lips, who's sung backup on every Hop Along record, is on the record. So there's a lot. It's like a lot of familiar faces for Hop Along fans. A little more electronic. Lots of like really ambitious art pop arrangements. Just like, and then Francis's voice sounding like, earth shattering as always. So it's really, really incredible. Highly recommend. And then another heavy record, a band that would be really great on Sick New World, is the Acacia Strain's new album, You Are Safe from God Here. I think it's their best album of their sort of, I don't know, like if I want to say, I don't want to say resurgence because they never went anywhere. But I think ever since they did that late 2019 record that came out like on like December 26th, like right after Christmas 2019, I think they kind of like started a new chapter with that album. And I think this is the best of that chapter so far. And it's just like they've been kind of repositioned as this. No, that's not even repositioned, but like they're one of those bands that have just been as relevant every year of their career. They've been around for like 25 years and they've just always been like seem like a current band. They were part of the metalcore boom in their 2000s. They were part of like when deathcore popped off. And now they're like positioned as influential on a lot of the death metal hardcore crossover stuff that we talk about on this show quite a bit. And this new record, like, if you didn't know any better, you'd think it was one of those new bands. It's so fresh.
They're always repping those new bands. We know they listen to all those bands. So yeah, it's not surprising how current they can stay. Just they're
and on
into
the record,
it.
they have Brody King and Colin Young from God's Hate on a song together. And Sonny from Blackwater Holy Light is on the last track, which is 14 minutes long. And it's like a metalcore rock opera, like the Quadrophenia, but make it metalcore. It's really, really epic. And then I haven't heard this record yet, but the new album from UK rapper Dave, the boy who played the harp, comes out today. If you're listening to this on Friday, I'll have heard it and have probably written something. But can't tell you much now, but I'm really excited for it. Love Dave. And Eliza McLam has a new record, Good Story, that Amanda reviews in notable releases on Brooklyn Vegan. Eliza is a really smart, funny, interesting writer. Not just music, but like also like I think she does like comedy and journalism and lots of stuff. And so the music is also great. And then, as always, Bill's got a few records that he talks about in Indie Basement on BrooklynVegan.com. The latest from the alt-rock veterans, the Lemonheads. He talks about the new record from Just Mustard. The incredible, highly influential Chicago post-rock band Tortoise are back with their first album in 9 years, Touch. And it's their first album for the jazz label International Anthem, which Tortoise guitar player Jeff Parker has been very much a regular of, like, as part of that sort of Chicago-centric jazz resurgence thing going on. So that's pretty cool.
This is their first post-To Hollis record as well.
Ooh, yeah, good point. And the new spiritual Cramp is out. It's called Rude. And yeah, Bill's got a review of that one as well. Sharon Van Etten appears on that album, which is cool sort of meeting of the minds, I think.
And Spiritual Cramp actually just stopped by our Instagram to tell us 5 Bay Area bands they recommend. So that's a fun video that you can go watch over there now.
Yeah, very good. Lot of Bay repping lately. I mean, Tsunami and Scal.
There's no like full Tsunami's not on there, so I can't. It's not yet another like full Tsunami segue, but yes.
But I did ask Sammy from Drain when we were young about the Bay, about what makes that scene special, and he shouted out Tsunami being on that fest. Destroy Boys are a Bay band too. He shouted them out. Yeah, it was if you're if you care about Bay stuff. The interview with Sammy, he had really interesting stuff to say about the Bay scene. I mean, it's crazy because it's like I was just listening to Hardlore's interview with Davey Havoc from AFI, and Davey's talking about the 924 Gilman scene in like 1991, and it's just crazy that that's like a thriving scene now. Also, like I mean, it's like it's got more longevity than CBGB's.
Yeah, and like then, all the bands don't sound alike. Spiritual Cramp, even though there are no hardcore bands, I don't think on their list of 5 Bay Area bands, they very much are part of the hardcore scene too. I mean, sort of. They play with hardcore bands all the time. Hardcore bands are
The
constantly
members of Spiritual
repping them.
Cramp have been in hardcore
Oh
bands.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's all.
And moving right along, Angel Dust announced their new record, Cold to the Touch, this week. First for Run for Cover. And the new single, which is the title track, awesome. They made the record with Brian McTernan, who did their debut, AD, and it definitely feels like they're kind of doing the Rock the Fuck On Forever AD kind of stuff again. So really, really stoked to hear the new Angel Dust, which I think ties right into a lot of this kind of hardcore adjacent stuff we've been talking about today, and we talk about a lot, obviously. In fact, Popwig Records, which is the label that Justice from Angel Dust co-runs with members of Turnstile who have also played in Angel Dust, and I don't know how involved all those busy people are in the day-to-day, but they just signed this band Recollection, which Austin from Haywire plays in. I don't know if did you hear that single?
Not yet.
So they have their debut EP, Vivid Dreams. It comes out in November on Popwig, and the single is called Less Is More, and it's kind of like, I don't really know like exactly what to compare it to, but it's kind of, I guess, you know what? It reminded me like a little bit of Fiddlehead in that sort of like melodic rock by people who obviously are in hardcore bands kind of thing. Like not quite melodic hardcore, but like melodic rock from people who play hardcore. So yeah, cool stuff. Meanwhile, before we go, more new music things to shout out. We were talking on a recent episode about like the Dodos because Rap Boys had name dropped them as an influence. We were like, that's a name drop. And since then, the singer of the Dodos, Merrick Long, announced his first solo album under his own name. It's called Kablooey, and the first single, A Small Act of Defiance, is out now. We also got new album announcements this week from Pucifer, which is one of Maynard from Tool's bands. There's a exclusive vinyl variant of that one in the BB shop. Rosalia, Haircut 100 announced their first album in over 40 years, and it's the first with lead singer Nick Hayward since their 1982 debut. And Sleaford Mods announced a new album which has a lot of cool and perhaps even surprising guests, including former Life Without Buildings singer Sue Thompson and Game of Thrones and Severance actress Gwendolyn Christie, not to mention Aldous Harding, Liam Bailey, and more. What else happened this week, Dave?
Well, over on our other podcast, BV Interviews, make sure you check out the latest episodes where Bill talks to Kate Laban, Griff Rees of Super Furry Animals, Fred Armisen about his sound effect album that just came out. It's really entertaining, and Hot Chip and more. The Cure have confirmed that their next album is recorded. I feel like Robert Smith was teasing 2 albums for a long time, and one final
3 even?
Oh, 3 maybe.
It might have been 3.
Yeah, so one after a long time finally came out. It was amazing. Then he released that remix album of that album, which is also amazing. And now he's saying another one is done. So that's something to look forward to for sure. Grizzly Bears comeback tour is underway with Victoria from Beach House in the band. If they played many nights in New York. We have photos and stuff up on BV. We also talked about Rilo Kiley's reunion tour, and damn, I wish I was at this show. Waxahachie, who of course we talked about, is very influenced and huge Rilo Kiley fan. Katie from Waxahachie came out and joined them in LA for With Arms Outstretched. Foo Fighters and Queens of the Stone Age just announced a tour, and support will be split between 2 much newer, smaller bands that we love, Mannequin Pussy and Gouge Away. Man, that's crazy, Bill. And I don't usually say that about Foo Fighters.
Yeah, no, I mean, Foo Fighters keep it real, I think.
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't mean that. Yeah. I just meant like I'm not a Foo Fighters guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they're not bad for like a Nirvana Sunny Day Real Estate Germ side project. No, but I think that's so cool to see. I mean, Mannequin Pussy fresh off the Turnstile tour, going to play for Foo Fighters crowds. Like on that topic we were talking about of like, winning over the people who maybe aren't as tapped in, like whoever put Mannequin Pussy and Gouge Away on that bill, like you deserve a high five.
Hell yeah. And staying in the arena stadium sphere, Iron Maiden announced the 50th anniversary North American Stadium Tour with support from Megadeth and Anthrax. Now there's a bill. I guess, yeah, Megadeth Megadeth announced their final album. So I don't know what they said about final touring, but yeah, that's definitely, I guess, yeah, well, Big Four is thrash, but that's like a big metal tour.
Yeah, no, hopefully people there like get exposed to Megadeth and Anthrax too, you know, just like Mannequin Pussy on the Foo Fighters tour.
We have now mentioned Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax all on this episode. So there's your Big Four.
Who's your favorite Big Four band? That's a stupid question. Metallica.
Stupid question for you, but yeah, Metallica, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it's cooler to say Slayer.
Wait, did we talk about how good the Testament album is?
I think so. We did. I don't know if we did on this podcast.
If you care about thrash metal, veteran thrash metal, and you haven't heard the new Testament album, it is way better than I expected it to be. And I always like their recent work. They're like the one band. Well, their new music is a lot better than a lot of their peers' new music, and this record's even better than their last few. Just got to shout that out.
Yes, and so Wilco and Billy Bragg have announced their first ever full collaborative set of their Mermaid Avenue songs. Those songs date back to like the late 90s. There's multiple albums of them. If you don't know about that, they combined previously unheard Woody Guthrie lyrics with original music that they wrote together. And that collaborative set is going to take place at Wilco's Solid Sound Festival next year. I've never been to that fest, but I know it's a special one. Spiritual Cramp, who we just brought up in the context of their new album, which, by the way, we also have an exclusive variant of at shop.brooklynvegan.com. They just played an album release show in LA the other night. Alt Press was there. Shout out again to Alt Press. Check out their Instagram for coverage of that. They're also heading out on a full Alt Press presented tour in February. So those dates, go check out those dates. And in sadder news, we just got the news that Dave Ball, one half of Soft Cell, has passed away. Rest in peace, Dave. And of course, rest in peace, Ace Frehley. I think that's it. See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. Dave and I will be back every Friday morning with new episodes of BV Weekly. And in between the episodes, you can always get much more from us at brooklynvegan.com, on all of our social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can pick up records from us at shop.brooklynvegan.com. And if you like what you hear, tell your friends about us, subscribe to the show, give us a good rating. All that little stuff goes a really long way. It really helps us a lot, and we really appreciate it. So until then, thank you again, and see you next time.